It's no wonder what happens when people are forced into parenthood, when they're forced to give birth to a child that they did not want and cannot provide for. And that is suicidal thoughts and potentially suicide. And it turns out, according to a new study, that in fact, when you strip people of their reproductive rights, it leads to more suicide and suicidal thoughts among those people seeking abortions. So this is a new study, and it shows that restricted access to abortions may have increased the risk of suicide among young women of reproductive age for more than 4 decades. New research from the University of Pennsylvania suggests though suicide rates are rare, they're the second leading cause of death among women ages 20 to 24 in the United States, and the third leading cause among women ages 25 to 34. I'm gonna say that's too high. What's the first? Car accidents, gun violence. Now, again, you'll notice this is this is actually between 1974 and 2016, when Roe v. Wade was still active, when it was still protecting people. However, when there were many different laws enacted throughout different states in this country to try and strip away and chip away at those reproductive rights. So one of those laws are trap laws, and we'll talk about that here. So during the period, 21 states enforced at least one targeted regulation of abortion providers trap law, which imposed mandates on abortion providers or facilities, such as requiring facilities to be located near a hospital, requiring providers to be affiliated with a local hospital. And from 1974 to 2016, the average annual suicide rate among women of reproductive age in those states was nearly 6% higher than in prior years when the laws were not enforced. The researchers did not find the same association for older women, suggesting that the increased suicide risk was specific to women directly affected by trap laws. The researchers also ruled out other factors such as the economy or state's political climate on suicide rates. In accompanying editorial published Wednesday, Tyler Vanderweel, an epidemiology professor, thank you, at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, estimated that trap laws may have associated with around 127 suicides among women of reproductive age in 2016. That's a lot, and it actually sounds low to me. And this is the fight of our lives, women, ladies, people. And I think what I'm seeing now is young women who understand that this is impacting them, and how going forward 2022 and beyond, we're not gonna take this. We look at these stats and that's not gonna wash over us. I am not between those ages of 20 and 24, but that's not gonna wash over this younger generation. That is going to have an impact. People are gonna know people who have thought about suicide, who have attempted, who have successfully killed themselves. And people, and it's to me, it's just not gonna stand. And we now have the proof that what the so-called pro-life party enacts leads to only more death. Dan, thoughts?
Yeah, you put it so very well there. This pro-life party, they're pro-life in a very theoretical sense. They're pro-life of the baby, unless that mother of that baby is an undocumented immigrant. And then once that baby is born, if they're born into poverty, we're not going to do things like Head Start programs or any sort of social services that could be paid for by taxes that would actually help people. We're not going to advocate for higher taxes on the rich to pay for any sort of social services for kids as they grow up. It's very much on principle, we care about this thing, but you look at the reality. I mean, from the most egregious cases like that, one case of the underage woman being raped essentially, and the local officials basically trying to pass the blame around, saying, oh, well, it's not our fault that she can't seek reproductive services. You get those type of circumstances, and then you get these on a societal level. America is a dismal place for a lot of reasons. I think there's hope in this, not just this future generation, because that's a trope. They said the same thing about millennials, millennials will be the future, and then they said we're gonna then they're gonna say they avocado toasted their way to their demise, right? But it's important to kind of make sure we see that there are larger ramifications, there are big picture things that Republicans either didn't think about because they don't care, or they thought about because they don't care. And so it really dismantles the pro-life argument from every single angle, because what happens with that life on like day 4, if they're black or like under any sort of like marginalized group? What if that baby eventually like grows up, and let's take this out of the realm of controversy and say they're 18 and they decide they're trans? Is the Republican Party pro-life then? We report, you decide on that.
No, of course. I mean, I think what's the one silver lining to all of this devastation is that we are seeing a whole picture of reproductive justice, reproductive rights, and health of parents, right? Whether prenatal care, postnatal care, postpartum care, all of that. As a new mom, I can tell you, as a new mom who wants her child, caring for a newborn gets real dark. When you're waking up every hour and a half in the middle of the night and you're like, why won't you stop crying? Obviously, I don't shake. It gets tough. Now imagine layered on top of that, someone unable to take care of that kid, not with the resources to do that. Someone who didn't even want that kid. Someone in an abusive relationship. It goes on and on and on and on. And so it is no wonder that these studies exist, and they're only gonna get worse. And we have to hold each other, we have to support each other, and we have to support abortion providers and access to things like the Plan C pill. I just wanna clarify for everyone who didn't make that connection. The reason those trap laws make it more difficult is because people have to travel farther to get abortion care, right? You have to, and effectively, you don't have the time to travel. So ergo, you don't have the time to get that abortion. So yeah. And a lot of young women going back to school, after the winter break or this year are going to school. I'm talking young women in college are going to school in states that have drastically changed their reproductive rights. And so, yeah, they are at risk.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.